There is a reason why Spurs and Manchester United reached the Europa League final last season. It's also the same reason why we had a fairly comfortable Champions League campaign this year and managed to qualify to this stage without too many problems. Can you think of what the shared point is here? Take a moment and think about it. Go ahead and type your answer in the comments. Alright, time's up. The answer is simply physicality. The Premier League has reached such a high level of physicality that many European teams struggle when they come up against an English club. Even in games where the other teams might look better tactically or technically, English teams often still have the physical edge. That physical strength can completely change the flow of a match and turn things around in a moment. Now, you might be wondering, what has all of this got to do with our loss against Galatasaray? And that is exactly what we are going to get into today. So if you enjoy this kind of breakdown, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Now let us jump into the explanation. So if we go back to the first few minutes of the game, it actually looked like we were in for a good performance. Right from the start, you can see the team pressing very aggressively, with every player stepping up and jumping onto his man. The energy was there and the intention was clear. In this moment here, Salah does a great job of locking the play on one side of the pitch. By doing that, he limits Galatasaray's options and forces them into a tight area. From there, we managed to pressure them into playing a risky pass. The pass is loose and we react quickly to it. Wirtz picks it up in a very dangerous position, and if he had made a slightly better decision in that moment, we could have easily opened the scoring within the first minute of the game. It was the kind of start that makes you feel like the team is sharp and ready to control the match. Just a minute later, we saw a move that really reminded us of the great moments from last season. The play starts with Szoboszlai switching it out wide, first to Gomez, who in turn plays it to Salah. From there, the Hungarian makes one of those familiar runs into the right half space. It is the kind of movement we saw so often last season. Salah spots the run and finds him with a nice outside foot pass. It was a very promising sequence and it showed good understanding between the players. Sadly, the move did not end with a goal. Szoboszlai managed to get his shot away, but it was blocked before it could really trouble the keeper. Still, it was another early moment that made it feel like we were starting the game well. So far, so good. 2 minutes into the game and it looked like we were heading towards a solid performance and maybe even a good result. But then we ran into our biggest enemy so far this season. Yes, even though we have improved when attacking corners, we still struggle when it comes to defending them. Just 7 minutes into the game, and when the opposition were having a trouble dealing with us in open play, they managed to get their goal from a corner. Now, was it ideal? Absolutely not. But it was still early in the match, and we had actually started the first 15 minutes quite well. Heck, we even had Gomez invert into midfield. You can see him here moving inside and dragging his marker with him. That movement opens up space and allows him to play a quick bounce pass that helps us find Konate in space. From there, the Frenchman immediately looks forward and tries to find Hugo making a run in behind, hoping to take advantage of Galatasaray's high line. It was another moment where the idea was good and the movement was there. Now, unfortunately, even when our intentions were good, like in the sequence we just looked at, we still failed to turn those moments into anything meaningful. The ideas were there, but the end result was missing. There were two main reasons behind this. The first reason is exactly what we talked about at the start of the video. When we tried to attack Galatasaray's high line, they actually had players who could match us physically. Sanchez and Singo in particular were extremely strong in their duels. Watching them defend felt almost like watching Premier League defenders throwing themselves onto every challenge. They were aggressive, quick, and very difficult to get past. The second reason was our execution. Quite simply, it was not good enough. McAllister, Gravenberch, and Szoboszlai had a lot of unforced errors throughout these moments. Passes were slightly off, touches were not clean enough, and the final action often broke down before we could create a real chance. Technically, they were just not at the level we needed in this game. Notice this moment here. We actually managed to overload the opponent and create a 3 against 2 situation. Wirtz does really well in this sequence. He makes a clever double movement to arrive at the right time and help form a triangle with the two other players. From there, he even manages to find McAllister in space. But this is where all the good work suddenly goes to waste. After that build-up and smart movement, the final pass from McAllister is simply too heavy. The ball is hit with too much power, and it runs away from Szoboszlai, which completely kills the attack. It is one of these moments where the idea and the movement are correct, but the execution lets the whole play down. This has honestly been a recurring issue for us again and again, whether the team is playing well or not. The players often manage to get themselves into good positions, they move the ball well, manipulate the space around them, and create small advantages for themselves and for their teammates. But then the final action almost always lets us down. The last pass is too heavy, the touch is not clean enough, or the decision is slightly off. Because of that, attacks that should lead to real chances just fade away. This is exactly why we haven't started calling for Slot's head just yet. When the players are getting into the right positions but failing in the final action, it becomes very hard to put all the blame on the manager. As the game went on, Galatasaray also started to make things much more comfortable for themselves. They allowed us to have plenty of possession, but most of it was in our own third. We kept circulating the ball and resetting the play without really progressing forward. At the same time, our press started to drop off. Instead of stepping up and trying to win the ball back aggressively, we mostly focused on defending space and staying in shape. Because of that, our only real way of creating any danger came from trying to find Hugo on the break. We could look for him running in behind and hope to catch them out that way. This is one area where we do place a lot of blame on Slot, because so far this season he still has not fully solved these problems when teams allow us possession but close the space higher up the pitch. And since Galatasaray were able to match our physicality, we could not rely on duels to swing the game in our favour either. In fact, when you look at the numbers, they actually had the edge, in duels especially on the ground. That made things even harder for us. When we tried to go long and expose their high line, they were often strong enough to win those battles and stop the attack before it could really develop. And you know what? This is actually something else we can blame Slot for, and that is the team selection. Both Rio and Jones were on the bench, and every time those two have been on the pitch this season, they have shown that they can offer solutions. Now, if the idea was to rest them and rotate the squad, that is completely understandable. It is a long season and you cannot start the same players every single game, but this is also a match against a team that has clearly struggled defensively. Galatasaray has already conceded 16 goals in the Champions League before this game. That tells you that there are weaknesses there to exploit. When you are facing a defense that have been leaking goals like that, it makes you wonder why we did not take a bit more risk with the lineup and put players on the pitch who have already shown they can make a difference. In the end, this was a very frustrating game to watch. Not because the team has no ideas and not because we were completely outplayed, but because it once again felt like we were our own worst enemy, especially after the promising start that we had. But time after time, the final pass, the final touch, or the final decision just was not good enough. There's still a lot to play for, and we can definitely turn the table next week at Anfield. However, these inconsistencies need to stop, otherwise a change might be needed soon. So, what did you think of this game? Do you think the players should be held responsible, just like Slot? Does he need to do a better job to platform someone like Salah, who's having an all-low campaign so far? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always guys, if you enjoyed it, please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for more.